Hello and welcome to the Seer 365 sessions. Every week we have a conversation with interesting people from around the Dynamics ecosystem, and this week is no different. So this week we're going to talk to a partner called Loki Systems. I've known Loki for a good number of years, working in some previous roles of mine, and they do what could be argued as being the most mission critical part of any system, and that's to get paid, which I certainly am a big fan of. So here we go. Need to add the guys. There we go. And this week we've actually got two guests, which we haven't done before. So I just want to welcome. I'll flip that around. There we go. I just want to welcome Roberto, who's the managing director of Loki in the UK, and Andy Wilson, who's the global head of sales for Loki. So welcome to the Seer sessions, gents.
Thanks, Richard.
Very much, Richard. Great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. And we've got Canada and Italy represented on the pod this week, so that's cool.
A few accents for you.
Well, yeah, it's good for me. It's good for me. We definitely the only Welshman on here, so that's good. Right, so before we get going, then, can you guys spend a couple of minutes just introducing yourselves and where you're from and all that kind of stuff? Do you want to start, Roberto?
Okay, thanks, Richard. So yeah, I'm Roberto. I've been with Loki since 2019. I ran operation in EMEA for about 3 years, and recently I've been promoted managing director. My background is technology, so I'm glad to be able to run such a successful company like Loki. Thanks.
Thanks, Roberto. And Andy?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Andy. Been with the company 11 years. I report to Roberto, and just for clarity's sake,
I didn't realize we gave you one of those.
Yeah, I'm never giving it back. I met Richard pretty much almost on my first day of work. We went to England, I think, in the first 2 weeks, and so I've known Richard and his crew for about 11 years, and been running global sales since I've joined, and it's been a fun time. We have a great solution. We'll talk a little bit about that today.
Thanks, Andy. So let's start with you, Roberto. Can you tell me a little bit about Loki and what you do? I kind of teed it up as saying it's kind of the most important thing. I know that when people talk about mission critical systems, they'll talk about finance systems or CRM or everything else, but I think you can not raise an invoice for a couple of hours, it'd be fine. But if you don't pay your people, that's a bigger issue.
Correct. That's a mission that we have, paying people on time and with the right amount, right? Yeah. So Loki has been established in Canada in 2007. So Andy has been part of the company basically nearly since the beginning. We are currently based in UK, US, and Canada, and we are part of the Pro Unlimited group. Recently, Pro Unlimited has been rebranded as Magnet. They are a global workforce management firm, owned by EQT. It's one of the leading private equity firm in Stockholm. We have customers in around 17 countries, and we have been Microsoft Gold partner since basically the beginning in 2008. Our application are Microsoft certified, as well as most of our people, in order to maintain the gold partnership. Just talking about the payroll solution, it's a Microsoft Dynamic. It's based on the Microsoft Dynamic platform, and is the only actually application that is fully integrated in that platform in the Dynamic 365 F&O. So it's that's the biggest differentiator for us when we approach the market, as you probably know because of your past experience, right?
Yeah. And then, so what sort of industries do you work in? Well, most of your customers in?
At the moment, we are in multiple verticals, but we have been approaching the private sector since the beginning. Construction company, housing association for what it concerns UK, education in the States, and one of the main focus in the last year or so is definitely the public sector. for the UK market. We see a lot of traction there, a lot of local council trying to approach this, to transform their CRM solution, and that's why we, with Microsoft and few partners, we are approaching that sector.
Cool. So let's move away from Loki a little bit, but let's just talk about payroll in general. So what would you say the biggest observations are you're seeing in the customers and market? Andy, do you want to say that one?
Yeah, sure. Just a caveat, these are Andy's opinions and Roberto's opinions. They don't necessarily reflect the global opinions, but I'll give you three. I'll talk about in-house payroll becoming increasingly common for some really good reasons. And then I want to talk about fully burdened direct labor costs, which is quite granular, but it's a very, very high value component of construction and project-oriented organizations, and we got a great solution for it. And then, just the notion that you need fully integrated, automated end-to-end HR payroll processes and why that's important to your business. And then a couple other things just quickly on security and then time and attendance. So it's interesting, I was doing some research lately, and a Big Four services firm, which we actually work with, found that there's a growing transition away from fully outsourced payroll services to in-house payroll operations. And that's mostly around gross to net processing and then moving third-party payments to in-house. And there's several key reasons a business would choose to keep their payroll operations in-house. And the first one is you will have more control over your payroll process. So one of the biggest advantages of processing your payroll in-house is the level of control you'll have over the process. Outsourcing your payroll process means you'll relinquish a certain amount of that control. An in-house team, which is who we deal with, we deal directly with the people running the payroll processes, they're going to be solely focused on your payroll process versus the hundreds that an outsourced payroll provider is going to be managing on a daily basis. Let me give you some examples of that. So controlling the security and access to sensitive employee data. We talk about this all day long. This is just super important for customers to have. Effectively managing the payment of new starters, leavers, payments, taxes, payslip printing, and reporting to HMRC in an accurate and timely manner. You need to control that stuff because it's critical to your business and your business reputation. And then control over payroll configuration. One of the things we talk about and stress about our solution is that it's based on a calculation engine. And that really means two things, Richard. It means that we are able to effectively set up very complex payroll for our customers in North America and the UK. But way more importantly is that they can maintain that configuration themselves. So again, more control over the payroll process is critical. And next, it's lower cost. So most of the cost analysis that I have seen indicates that over time, even when you've got staff, that in-house payroll is cheaper to operate. And one major reason, and I always find this very interesting, is that you put your payroll money into the outsourced vendor's bank account. So let's say you're running a weekly salary and you're a big company. So you're putting £1 million or roughly into a payroll provider's bank account. So you lose that interest income on the money while it's there. And that's a lot of money that's working for them and not for you, right? So these funds could be working for you, earning interest, purchasing inventory, or other capital investments. There's a lot of things you could use that money for, and keeping that money in-house to me makes sense. Next, you got more flexibility and control, right? So payroll is super important. You get it right. There's a lot of changes, and we know that a lot of these changes to payroll occur right at the last minute, right? The 11th hour, so to speak. The time file comes in, it's not correct, or there's changes, or adds, new starters, things like that. That all comes at you right at the last minute. With an outsourced payroll provider, those changes could mean you're going to pay for an additional payment run, which you're going to pay for, or you pay to modify the existing paying run that you're working with, right? Your process, our customer's process, is just one of many that those folks run, and changes will be made according to their schedule. And then reporting, right? Reporting is critical. It's often overlooked. I have a bit of a background in reporting, so it's an area I really enjoy. You get 100% control over the reports you're going to need to generate. No external dependencies. You need that because your business is unique. It has its own payroll setup, its own processes and reporting. And your in-house team, through the D365 platform, we have a great reporting palette. And they can take that, they can customize it, they can build it to exactly what you need.
Cool. So, and what about the fully burdened labor costs? I wrote it down. I have no idea what that means, but
yeah, great segue, Richard. I'll jump on that right now. So, this is an area I'm actually pretty stoked about, as it's top 3 for our customers. When we're talking to construction customers, project-based customers, this question always comes up, and all we need is a time capture system that gives us time coming in for the employees that has a project ID associated. So the time that's coming in has a project ID associated with it that links the time to that project, the project reporting framework, the project costing. So when you're counting only direct labor costs, which are wages, and project costing, it might be 20% of the project. But when you include these labor burdened costs, it may account for anywhere between 30 to 40% of the total cost. So there's quite a bit of variation if you do not get this direct labor burden cost right. And there's two things that we provide in this area. One is a direct labor cost, and that's easy, right? It's the hourly amount you pay an individual to perform tasks towards the completion of the project. And then the second thing we provide is burdened direct labor costs. And this is the cherry on top, so to speak. So burdened direct labor costs adds all the additional costs required to employ the individual, including things like payroll taxes, vacation, sick days, healthcare, matching pension costs, and other things, maybe a cell phone or a computer. So in other words, said another way, like employing this person carries a burden beyond his or her basic compensation. And when you run our payroll, it provides a burden direct labor cost to that project module, replacing the estimated costs that they have in that framework in a fully automated manner. So just let me repeat that. So I, as a project owner, have forecasted, say, maybe 20% for those fully burdened labor costs. And that's sort of accurate, but it's not 100% accurate. So after we run payroll, those forecasted or predicted costs, which may be off by a bit, are replaced by 100% correct, fully burdened costs. So let's pause here for a second and just take a look at what the payback is on this. So customers, they can price their labor hours for profitability, right? They can accurately determine real gross profit on projects. And our customers are dealing with multi-million-dollar construction projects that span different tax regions, not just talking about the UK, but talking about the US as well. Very complex, a lot of moving parts, and margins can be thin, right? They can estimate, they can schedule and utilize labor resources way more accurately and efficiently. And then lastly, they can better understand, and probably most the important thing here is better understand their real profit levels from labor. So you can have, good profits, you can have really good profits, or you can have no profits at all, right? And not even realize it till it's way too late. I'm not saying that's how the construction industry operates. Obviously, they're pretty good at this stuff, but our contribution to understanding that profit level and true cost is huge, right? And this is what we always get, Richard. Can you do this? is a question that our construction prospects ask before they'll even let us in the front door, right? If we can't do this, go home. It's paid off for us in spades. We've been doing this since 2016, I think, was when we onboarded our first construction customer, albeit they were in the US. They operate in every state, different tax jurisdictions. You can have employees working in one tax jurisdiction in the morning, separate project in the afternoon, and another tax jurisdiction. There's a ton of moving parts. But this fully burdened labor cost always bubbles to the surface. And we're great, sorry, not great, but we're happy to say to these people, yeah, we do that. It's fully automated. You can expect it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well,
Yeah,
I'm slightly less uneducated about fully burdened labor costs. There you go. That's a great sentence.
yeah.
So just this last bit now, we're just going to talk a little bit about the advice that you would give either customers or partners when looking at payroll, because I know from previous experience, payroll is one of these things that people get pretty scared about. because of many reasons, right? The complexity, the importance of it, you know, and certainly in the past, you know, I've been involved in projects where it's kind of the things of we'll deal with it later type thing. So let's try and demystify it a little bit. So Roberto, if I come to you first, what sort of piece of advice would you give to either customers or partners looking to have a internal payroll system?
I think one of the biggest advice I could give, I could give from a implementation standpoint and program standpoint, right? If you decided to migrate from your legacy system to the new one, whatever it is the data migration. Do it right, do it early, right? We have seen so many times underestimating the challenges around the data migration, lack of data quality on the legacy system that then we reflect on the new system, the quantity of the data that the user wanted to migrate rather than actually what they really need to migrate, the lack of experience of the resources that are involved in the data migration, communication between business and end user that are completely broken, so the business requires something completely different than what's actually the end user, so that the payroll team needs. So what we suggest is start planning for the data migration since the beginning of your transformation program. Have a proper plan, process, timeline of what you want to migrate versus what you need to migrate. I want to migrate 5 years of data, but do you need that? No, I need only 1 year. Perfect. Migrate 1 year because you know the migration time affects the cutover time, the amount of time it needs to go live. Be sure you have the right resources with the right knowledge, and have multiple iteration. Test it before getting to the cutover, then going live, and then figure out that you got the wrong data, and then you start having problem in paying people.
Absolutely. Well, we had Experian on the call last week, and their advice was pretty much exactly the same. So I think, and to be honest, anybody who's been doing this for long enough will know that's really good advice. Really good advice. Andy, what about you? What's your nugget of knowledge?
Yeah. Well, kind of off the back of what Roberto was talking about, I think a common joined up plan between the prospect or the new customer, the lead partner, because there's always, it's like a three-legged stool. We have someone that will be implementing the balance of the ERP, financials, HR. We do payroll. But before we, spend 1 minute kind of implementing, we have to have a plan that sketches out very clearly who owns what and when it's due. And everybody needs to sign off on that. And then we do not put that plan in a drawer and forget about it, because it's hugely important to be joined up, all three parties, from the start to finish. And that will allow for us to manage, delivering to certain time schedules, the dependencies that we need to come in, layer in at the right time, and for the customer to be able to absorb the project and the change without blowing up.
Again, very good advice, and just sticking to a plan is probably never a bad piece of advice, to be honest. That's actually a good one. Sorry. So Roberto, let's end with you as you're Andy's boss. So apart from giving Andy a hard time on his next review, what's your last piece of advice for partners and customers out there?
I think that's the most common advice everybody is talking about. Adopt, do not adapt, right?
Yeah.
The on-prem platform has been highly bespoke throughout the year for payroll, HR, everything. Now everybody with the cloud technology is advising to succeed, to adopt and not adapt. But that means use the standard functionality out of the box rather than a lot of customization and bespoke. That's very easy to say. Not that easy to do, because you need to use the standard functionality means changing the way you are doing your processes throughout the year, and now the user has to adapt to new concept, and that's everybody's not everybody likes changes, and so what we suggest is focus on the high level requirements rather than having hundreds of detailed requirements. Just go with the high level, identify the way you are working and what needs to be changed, share it with the team and be clear on what it will change and what you will see, and work with implementation partners that already been through the same route many times, because they can give you good advices on what need to be changed and how.
Yeah, work with partners who have got that industry experience, that they've got the grey hair like me.
All of us.
Yeah, cool. Well, gents, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciated the conversation. Really enjoyed finding out a little bit more about payroll. I know it's something that's deeply close to my heart every month. So really kind of you to spend some time with us. For those who've been watching either live or as a recording, thank you very much for taking your time to hear from the guys from Loki. And hopefully we'll see you all again soon. And I hope you all have a great week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.